Tonight on Q2, another Billings boy hit in the Heights.
The 12-year-old hit by a car on his way home. Now his family wants to prevent the same thing from happening to others.
You never really think like one of your biggest fears are going to come true, especially about your kids.
Plus, a mother lives through her own worst nightmare, only this time it was fake.
Worst phone call of my life. Worst hour of my life.
An upscale AI scam strikes fear into one Billings woman who is now out hundreds of dollars.
And friends helping friends.
Without them going through this, I would not have maybe got in right away at 40.
One woman says her survival story is only possible because of the help from 2 other survivors.
The MTN 530 News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Hailey Monaco.
And I'm Conlon. A 12-year-old Billings boy has a long road to recovery ahead after being struck by a car yesterday afternoon in the Billings Heights.
The boy was getting off the city bus when he was hit in the crosswalk. The driver, a 27-year-old woman. Tonight, the boy's family is thankful that he is still alive and for all the good Samaritans that came to his aid.
Yeah, however, our Charlie Kleps reports that they hope this accident can still be cause for change.
It was right here at the intersection of Hilltop Road and Main Street in the Billings Heights where 12-year-old Dresden Kurtz was struck by a vehicle on his walk home from school Tuesday afternoon. Doctors say he should be able to make a full recovery, but for his mother, it was a scary circumstance, and she's hoping that it'll lead to change.
Sheer panic. It was terrifying.
The fear was endless.
Absolute worst nightmare.
As Jackie Wilson received a phone call Tuesday afternoon with her worst nightmare coming true.
When I picked up, I heard sirens and just cop cars, and I'm like, hello? And then he goes, Mom, I got ran over.
That call from Wilson's 12-year-old son had her fearing the worst.
My first thought was just, am I going to lose my kid? Like, what? How bad are we talking?
Her son, Dresden Kurtz, was crossing the street at Hilltop and Main on his way home from school. While in the crosswalk, he was struck by a vehicle turning right onto Main. The driver, a 27-year-old woman, was cited with careless driving, which can come with up to 6 months in jail if serious injury is caused. Kurtz was immediately transported to the Billings clinic where he's dealing with a broken leg, broken ribs, and a fractured pelvis.
We're going to get through it. It's going to be kind of a long healing process, but he's still here to do that, so very grateful.
Wilson is doing her best to stay positive, though she does believe the situation could have been prevented.
I think we should all have a reasonable expectation that our kids are going to be taken safely to school and brought home safely from school.
Billings Public Schools only puts bus stops near homes outside of 3 miles from a student's school because the district says they don't currently have enough funding for more. Wilson says they live about 2.6 miles from Medicine Crow and that she can't take Dresden to school herself. That's why he was getting off of a city bus just before he was struck.
I'm going to do everything I can in my power to change it for kids in the future, for kids now.
One thing is for sure, after nearly losing her son, she's grateful for all that helped on scene.
You were there for my baby when I couldn't be, and it was just really nice to know that your kids are taken care of.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
A family's nearly year-long wait for justice took a big step this morning. 30-year-old Tad Warren pled not guilty Wednesday to killing 24-year-old Brendan McMahon on Billings West End in November of last year. McMahon's body was found at the Fox Meadows apartment complex on Monaco Road on November 9th. In court documents, prosecutors alleged McMahon and Warren were former friends who had been dating the same woman. While the woman was away, Warren allegedly shot McMahon in her apartment. Warren was eventually arrested on September 23rd of this year in Fresno, California, after Yellowstone County issued a warrant for his arrest. He is being held on a $500,000 bond.
Firefighters continue to make progress on the elk fire burning in Sheridan County, Wyoming. The fire grew by around 1,000 acres overnight and has now burned nearly 76,000 total. However, crews were able to construct more fire lines yesterday, with the blaze now 16% contained. Several neighborhoods remain evacuated at this hour, with crews shifting their focus to the southern side of the blaze as flames spread that way. Nearly 900 firefighters continue to battle the elk fire. And there is a community meeting at 7 tonight at the Bighorn High School. We'll have the latest from there at 10 o'clock.
Firefighters still doing a fantastic job battling that very stubborn elk fire. Now, earlier today, our air quality was much worse around Broadus and Sheridan than it is right now. Now it's actually an improvement to the moderate category. It was very unhealthy just a few hours ago in Sheridan County, but it has improved, but we still have more haze and smoke than we would like. The good news is that is going to change for most of us in just the next 24 hours or so. We have a cold front moving our direction. It's going to start clearing a lot of the haze from the high line first as it continues to push into eastern Montana. We're not going to be completely devoid of the haze and smoke, but you'll have to get closer to the fire themselves, especially the elk fire, before you have the really smoky air. We also have a cool down coming. That and more detail.
Artificial intelligence has proven useful in a number of applications, but consumer trust is still a major question, thanks in large part to its use in scams. Count one Billings woman as an AI detractor after a terrifying experience last week showed her just what the technology is capable of. Our Isabel Spartz explains.
Pretty much all of us are completely attached to our phones. We think they're mostly safe, but one Billings woman learned a very hard lesson about how dangerous a simple phone call can turn into.
Worst hour of my life.
It's a call no mother ever wants to hear.
It was my daughter. She said, "Mom, I really messed up. Please help me." And then a man came on the phone and said, "I have your daughter. If you want to see her again, you'll do exactly what I say."
The call strip number told Jewel Graham that her daughter had been injured in a car accident and that she needed to pay them a ransom.
He said $1,000. I said, "I don't have that." He said, "How much do you have?" I told him. He said, "Okay, that's my money now."
The men on the call made Graham drive around town to various locations. She eventually ended up at a local business with an international bank transfer and wired several $100s. Then, to Graham's surprise, her daughter called, said she was all right, and that the call had been a scam, using AI to impersonate her voice.
I just was convinced she was there. There was no doubt in my mind that it was her.
There are programs out there that if we feed that program just seconds of our voice and type a script in, that the computer then can make audio of that voice saying whatever is typed into the computer.
In fact, it's so simple that it's exactly what I've been doing this whole time.
Up until this point, you weren't hearing my real voice. That was an AI-generated one through a program called 11 Labs, and it was shockingly easy to set up. I am going to read a script.
With only a few minutes of my voice audio, I was shocked at how well it captured my vocal inflection. And after some more work, I'm sure it could have even fooled my own friends and family. It's a call no.
That's why it's important for us to realize that we cannot believe everything we see, hear, read, especially in the digital age.
Dale Dixon of the Better Business Bureau says while this technology can seem scary and advanced, there are ways to prevent this from happening to you.
I would encourage people to be really careful about what you do share and with whom you share on social media to begin with. Put some code words in place to use. Ask a question that only the person would be able to answer.
And still think it might not happen to you? Well, according to the Better Business Bureau, people ages 18 to 24 actually reported the highest median dollar loss of all groups. And the main source of being scammed was through social media.
The moment we say, "It won't happen to me, I'm too smart, I can smell it a mile away," is when you are most likely to fall victim.
While Graham won't see that money come back, she hopes that her story will help warn others.
It's really scary. I didn't give them the full amount that they were asking for, but somebody could. Just hang up and call.
In Billings, Isabel Spartz, MTN News.
Everyone believes they have the best friends, but one local woman is even more thankful for hers.
Yeah, in fact, she credits them with helping save her life, even while they were facing their own very serious health battles.
Arlena Howder shares their story as they prepare to be honored on Pink Night this Friday at the Nile Rodeo.
50 breast cancer survivors will be honored at the Nile Rodeo's Pink Night Friday. One of those women is 40-year-old Kristen Arnold, who says she would have never gotten a mammogram so young if it weren't for a couple of very special survivors.
For Kristen Arnold, Annie Austin, and Becca O'Shea,
I have the most amazing friends.
There's nothing quite like the power of friendship.
We've found ways to laugh through this.
Especially when the unexpected happens.
It just is very, very surreal.
Like a breast cancer diagnosis.
It started with Becca, just watching her go through chemo and losing her hair and then surgery.
The trio would experience deja vu just a couple of months later.
And then Annie got diagnosed in January of 23.
It was because of her two friends that Kristen decided to get a mammogram.
Without them having going through this, I would not have maybe got in right away at 40.
Kristen was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in April of 2024.
I did 16 rounds of chemo first to shrink the size of the tumor because it was big. And then I had a double mastectomy in November. And then I had 25 rounds of radiation.
An experience she got through not only with the help of her family, but her friends.
We handled it all very different. And then we came together and we had those conversations that, were hard, and we cried and we laughed and we got angry.
Something they'll celebrate Friday at the Nile Rodeo's Pink Night now that they're all done with treatment.
We always have a special seating area for our survivors, and it's a fun night. It's to celebrate survivorship.
A fundraiser that will go towards St. Vincent Healthcare's EVA project.
The purpose of it is to help women that are uninsured or no insurance to get mammograms every year, starting at 40.
Giving women like Kristen and her friends the chance to continue living their lives to the fullest.
If it inspires one person to keep fighting when it's tough, then I feel like I've done my job.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 530 News here on Q2. State of the Senate. We'll break down the nation's top Senate races, including right here in Montana, as winners look to decide the majority in Washington.
And later, bouncing back, one Baker senior overcomes a serious injury to once again lead the way for the Spartans. We'll meet our athlete of the week in just a bit.
The MTN 530 News continues right after this.